Good morning to all. Welcome to the June 2017 edition of the GIS Conversation webinar series on Big Data Discovery and Visualization Insights for ArcGIS. Today, we will be talking on some key aspects of big data and data visualization with insights. I am Kam Chong, or KC, and will be your speaker for today's webinar. As part of the business solutions team in Esri Singapore, I leverage on my passion for GIS to demonstrate Esri technology to clients and business partners to help organizations get value and added insights from spatial technology. I'm glad to see participants from various industries joining us today and some attendees from overseas as well. Before we start, some of the housekeeping rules. This webinar is being recorded and it will be made available by next week. You will be receiving an email that includes the link to the recorded webinar. Please feel free to also give us your feedback on the contents. While the webinar is happening, please feel free to send us your questions through the Q&A panel, and I will try to address them at the end of the session. Finally, we will wrap up the webinar with some quick announcements. Most of you I see here should be familiar with Esri, but nonetheless, let's start with a quick introduction to Esri for the benefits of our friends who are joining us for the first time. Esri is the market leader in geospatial solutions. For the past 40 years, we have been providing cutting-edge spatial solutions to hundreds of organizations across the globe to leverage spatial insights using its powerful yet intuitive tools and templates. Esri Singapore is the Singapore-based entity that supports the in-country clients with implementation and training since 1981 and serves more than 700 clients. Let's start by talking about big data. Big data are data sets that are so large and complex that they become difficult to work with using standard software within a tolerable time frame. We will look at them by the 4 V's. Volume. The sheer volume of information has been growing exponentially every year, from petabytes to zettabytes. Devices are getting smarter and collecting more data with edge computing. Velocity. The frequency of incoming data that needs to be processed. Every 60 seconds, 100,000 tweets are made, 2.4 million Google searches are made. Variety. ArcGIS users have big data. For example, GPS telemetry on vehicle tracking, knowing where they are and how to be more efficient for optimization. Also, smartphone data collectors, monitoring where they are for workforce tracking. Within internet data, the social media, web logs are some examples of big data. Also sensor data, for example, weather sensors detecting strange weather patterns and smart meters collecting electricity information. Also veracity, the uncertainty of the data. Can you trust the source of your data? Lastly, I would like to introduce a 5th V. More importantly, big data is not about the data. The value of big data is in analytics. You want to gain insights through solving problems and enabling you to make strategic decisions. Location is a common denominator of data and enables decisions to be made about matters, where things are and how they are distributed. Spatial analysis allows you to efficiently determine how places are related, finding best locations and paths, and detecting patterns and anomalies. By tapping into insights derived from your big data, you can make predictions and decisions in a strategic way. Data is important, but not as important as the answers it provides or stories and discoveries it can reveal. We have developed a new capability for insights. It is a new experience for exploratory and interactive analysis of your data. We are introducing a workbook concept for ArcGIS that utilizes not only visual maps, but also charts and tables as well. All created in a very easy to use, fast, and intuitive environment. Insights is designed to allow you to ask questions of your raw data, find answers, and discover patterns. It is an iterative process designed to perform many different scenarios to reveal discovery in your data quickly. Rather than a detailed explanation on how Insight works, let's see in action. I'm tasked on an exploratory process to determine the relationship of age and dengue, as there are reports suggesting that the elderly are more prone to dengue cases. With Insights, we introduce the concept of workbooks, pages, and cards. You can visualize your data on the card as either table, charts, or maps. As I drag my temporal data into a chart, it immediately gives me a timeline. With the interactivity you see as I click along the line, the points are changing. As I have too many points, it's easier to see if I change the symbol type. As I click along, I see the spatial temporal patterns of my data. Now let's get back to our question on the relationship of age and dengue. First, I need to understand the distribution of the cases based on top boundaries. To do so, I need to perform a spatial aggregation. All I need to do is to drag and drop my layer onto the card. It's as simple as overlaying your polygon. Throughout your analysis, we report statistics so that these visualizations turns into answers to help you interpret it. By clicking on any point, we can see the value and how it compares to the mean to pick out high areas. Throughout the analysis, I have the overall statistics reported to me at the back of the card. I can visualize this information anytime. Rather than a traditional map, I can add interactive charts. For example, a bubble chart and tables. As you can see that between the visualization, everything else interacts. It is often through this interactivity that we start to get discovery from our data. Some areas with more elderly seems to have more dengue cases. To drill down further, I can visualize a scatter plot which allows me to explore the relationship between the dengue classes and age. Do clusters go up as the age increases? It looks like they do. But if we add the statistics, we can find out the strength of the relationship. Now, I can report my findings. But what if I need to repeat this analysis with new data? Throughout my analysis, everything I've done is recorded. Insights created a model of my workflow. Everything I've done is documented. Now I can share this model with my colleagues and rerun the same analysis by changing the input data or some of the parameters of some of the analysis. Just a recap on some of the key components which I've just went through. An analytics project usually starts with a workbook. Workbooks are where you organize your thoughts. For example, I'm interested to explore dengue and age. Pages are ways you organize your study. In my demo, the first page was just to explore some of the data, while page 2 is to focus on exploring the relationship of age and dengue clusters. You can also visualize your results of your operations in cards, such as table, charts, or maps. Not forgetting the model analysis view, where all the steps are recorded and documented. Insights is part of the 10.5 capability. It will work with hosted future services, Excel workbooks with multiple spreadsheets, of course, geodatabases. You can also connect directly to relational databases, consuming big data to explore patterns or relationships, harnessing real-time data to embrace smarter insights. Talking about big data, let me have a quick overview on GeoAnalytics. What is GeoAnalytics Server? ArcGIS GeoAnalytics Server is an extension of ArcGIS Enterprise, which allows users to make use of their big data sources such as Hive and HDFS, and it uses Spark to perform GeoAnalytics. It introduces distributed computing capabilities to vector-based feature data and can be used to analyze big data or accelerate traditional ArcGIS desktop analysis workflows through ArcGIS Pro and Portal for ArcGIS. The results of the GeoAnalytics server can be also used in Insights for ArcGIS. So how does it work? First and foremost, at the top, we have our enterprise stack, federated and hosted, consisting of ArcGIS Server, Portal, and ArcGIS Data Store. On the left, we support big data file shares, connecting to Hive and HDFS. You can register them within Server Manager, and it will be an item inside your portal content, referencing the location of your data. You can perform analysis on your big data by using the GeoAnalytics tool within ArcGIS Pro or Portal. These tools make use of the distributed computing capabilities to scale out your analysis, using Spark as a framework to process distributed data in memory. The results are then saved in the spatial temporal data store. Back to Insights, we've made adding data coming from many disparate data sources a similar, simple, and consistent process. Be it adding enterprise data store or Excel workbooks, the process is the same. Insights allow you to start asking questions with your data and help find answers and results. The tools are easily accessible in the same environment so that there is no break in the workflow of exploring and analyzing. For example, you might start with the question of what's nearby, and it will provide you with some of the analytic tools, for example, creating buffers, drive times, and finding nearest location. Start by asking a question or a problem you need to solve. Different spatial orientated questions you can ask and discover in Insights. Insights is designed to work in an interactive process using drag and drop, as well as iterative process where you can ask many questions, try different results to obtain answers, allowing you to focus on the questions and not the tools. Once you have analyzed and answered your questions, Insight can share that information in a variety of ways. Sharing of workbooks in ArcGIS, specific cards on interactive pages, and also sharing your models or workflows. In conclusion, using Insights is a way to ask questions of your data, get the answers you need, and document your work along the way and share your information with others. Well, that's the end of my presentation. Let's take a look at some of the questions, if you have any. Let me take 5 minutes to allow you to think of some questions and key in the Q&A panel. So some of the questions, so for example, one question is, so what is the supported types of file share in GeoAnalytics? So we support mainly 3 types of file shares. First is a directory of data sets. It might be shape files or CSV. Secondly, HDFS, and also Hive, your metastore databases. So what relational databases are supported in Insights? We support Microsoft SQL Server, SAP HANA, and also Teradata. So there's a question on, can I create relationships between separate data sets? So yes, if there's a common field, Insights allow you to create relationships between the data sets. Probably let me show you how you can do that. So within Insights, there's a relationship view where you can actually drag and drop data sets and join them based on common fields, for example, object ID, and just some of the common database joins intersect or left or right. And you can join them and you create a new data sets. So what do I need to have Insights? So Insights is supported for 10.5, and there are 2 components which you need to install. The server component of Insights and also the client application on Portal. And users will be able to connect to Insights through their Portal account if they are licensed to use Insights. So I think that's all the time we have for the Q&A. If you have any more questions, you can direct them to the email which I'll be showing you later on. So furthermore, we would like you to take part in our upcoming meetup on Insights for ArcGIS on 30th June at the Esri Singapore office. It will be a great opportunity to take your learning further and network with other members and professionals within the local community who share common interests as you. So thank you again for joining us, and do stay tuned for the next webinar on approaches to smart spatial analysis, solving problems spatially in 5 steps, unearth relationship patterns and trends within your data. So have a great week ahead, and goodbye.